Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm live. I need to get a intro. I guess I should get an intro. Can somebody make me an intro? If you don't mind, that would be great. That would be wonderful. Okay, now I've got to find my shit. No, not that. Not that. I don't need that. I need that. Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, I'm Kathy. Hey, Peas. How are you? Hello, Carrie, Deborah, Chicken Nugget. Vicky, state of disorder, have pint. Oh, I love it when y'all pile in here. Yes. Well, listen, part two of the Dahlia really is that we have facts, right? I'm not going to start right now. I'm going to wait. You got a kitty on your lap. Oh, Jeff, Cheyenne, how are you? Steve Yoakum, I love you, baby. Um, we'll go through the facts. Like, there's a fact. Elizabeth Short was found January 15th, 1947, in an empty lot. That's a fact. We're going to go through her autopsy. That's a fact. That's facts. Anything after that is purely speculative because we don't know who killed her, right? Hey, Clancy. Freeside, how are you, baby? So, and then I'll tell you this. I had an epiphany yesterday when I got pear in my mouth. Yeah. All right. I was trying to cram in information about every suspect, right? And last night I said, I can't do this because I cannot tell y'all. Hey, Evil Queen, how you doing, baby? I I've read so many books, right? And it would be impossible for me to make a case for every single suspect. Uh because some of them are, I don't know. If I thought I knew who the killer was, I would probably, yeah, I would probably be able to do that, but I don't know who it is. A lot of people think it was if Clean Urine Stash gets in here, he thought it was Mark Hansen, which we met. Hey, Sarah, my phone died. It died. Hey, Anna. And then I had to plug it up and drive back home. And then when I got back home, I had to go. You don't even want to know. Georgie, um, oh, stop it. So yeah, anyway, I just last night I'm not going to convince anybody of who did it because I don't know. What I would hope that y'all do though, because it's interesting reading, is this book. Hold on, there's so many Black Dahlia books. There's Steve Hodell's 37 of them. It's this one. Hold on, let me make myself. You get out of there. This one, is it backwards? Yeah, it is. Uh, Black Dahlia, Red Rose. There is Severed. Thank you, Peas. I love you. There is a book called Severed. There's James Elroy's book. There is Steve Hodell's book. And if you read them all, I think I said this last week. If you read them all, you end up, you big Gary Bear, you end up shutting the book and going, oh my God, they did it. This person's right. Well, then you go pick up another book and you read that and you go, wait a minute, that wasn't right at all. This is right. So but we're going to, all right, I've made a decision also on the photographs. I didn't know whether to put them on or not. What I decided to do was show a few shoot a few photos from the crime scene of her. I have not gone and done the autopsy photos. They are out there. If you want to see them, type in, autopsy of the Black Dahlia. They're going to pop up and you could be able to scroll down at your own discretion and look at them. They are heinous. They are horrible. And honestly, I thought to myself, this was a 22-year-old girl trying to live. All right. She was lost. She was she was lost and nobody was there to catch her, right? And she fell victim to something or someone, we don't know what. So that's why I've called her Beth. I don't call her the Black Dahlia. I call her Beth Short. That was her name. The photographs of her autopsy are disgusting, but it shows you how vicious this person was. Whoever did it. This vicious. And then I thought, I don't think we need to see it. We're not going to find the killer. All right, there's not me showing you those autopsy photos from 1947 is not going to, we're not going to find a killer. So I try to have respect for these victims. And, and precise, every time I have to remember this kid, this 22-year-old kid, the press turned her within days into a prostitute, sex worker, sexual deviant, what else? I mean, they've called her everything but a 22-year-old child. All right. And then, sorry, at 56, 22 is a child. And that happened real damn quick. So, someone spent a lot of time on her. And it's somebody that knew what they were doing. And it was actually the surgery itself, but I'll call it a surgery for right now, was actually taught in the 1930s. And it's got a name where you, of course, the people were living, but you removed their lower half, and it was for a really extreme infections or mangling or whatever it was. So it even has a name, but I don't even think I'm gonna bring that because it's just disgusting. But if you, hey Bam Bam, if you want to, thank you. If you don't want to see the autopsy photos, don't go look for them. If you do, go look for them. I mean, they're bad. They're pretty bad. Yeah. So I can't believe that Ghost and Bird are talking about Tina Damn D. Do y'all know how long Tina D has been discussed over here on this side of the YouTubes? Hey, Pink Banjo, how are you, dear? Hey, dear. I try to have respect for these people. Yeah. So where we're going to leave off, where we left off was, and I believe, if I'm not wrong, it was right here. That is where we left off. This is January 15th, 1947. And like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of photographs that are disturbing, but it's nothing nobody hasn't seen. So just to illustrate kind of the way she was laid out, that you see right here, and in this photograph right here, that is press and policemen. Okay, so the press got the press had like scanners. All right, let's just say, a lack of a word, scanners, and they would hear a call come in, right, and they would get to the scene before the cops did. Ask me how, I don't know. And that's what happened in Elizabeth Short's case. Press got there first. And I know, Big Banjo, and guess who's back? It is Austin Matthews. I love him. It was. And again, I implore you to read these books because it was so heinous. And there are so many potential. There is something about every single suspect that makes you think, oh, okay, okay, it might be it. I think I think it's in this one. This author thinks that it was a man named Leslie Dillon. And she puts out a pretty good case for it. The only problem with this was the LAPD had a psychiatrist, only one staff, and his job was to uh, pretty much interview all of the sexual deviants of Los Angeles and categorize them and whatnot. And he decided without any, he did not ask for permission to do anything. He actually put in I think it was 1948 or 1949, he put the wrong information in one of those Sandy, one of those detective magazines that people would get, or books, or whatever. And he put in information that wasn't correct. And his theory was that that the killer would read that and contact him. He would know exactly who he was. Well, Leslie Dillon contacted him. And it was like Joe, his name was Leslie Dillon. He went by Jack Sand. I don't know what, that was the name he signed to these, letters to Dr. DeRiver. And we'll get to it. Oh, no, yeah. We're gonna get into two. And like I said, I know that Clean Urine Stash is convinced it's Mark Hansen, the man that she's tried to stay with that was running like halfway houses. My friend Lavender Sunday, who's at deer camp right now, absolutely 100% believes it was, George Hodel. I thought it was Leslie Dillon. Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna get it out. I got the whole damn ass timeline from hell. Look at this shit. I made the timeline because I'm gonna add in the other. Thank you, Aunt Kathy. I love you, baby. Thank you for that. I added in the possible other victims. And there are a lot. I'll tell you what, the LAPD in the 1930s and 1940s did not have a good clear rate, okay? Not at all. Especially if you were a woman or a child. They won't solve nothing, and they didn't. So we have potential other victims, right? Now, I don't think she's so good with, yeah. So I guess she was a kid. Just a baby. I don't know. Hey, Mark. There's some great, listen, I talked about the cultural aftermath. I made that up myself. The cultural aftermath of Elizabeth Short's murder. And it has spawned books and movies and characters and TV. It has spawned, and it's just kind of, I don't know, like a hurricane that just keeps spinning around and around and around. That's why I decided not to use the autopsy photos. You can go, like I said, you can go look at them all you want. I'm not going to show them to you. They're interesting though. And then the way the press drove these investigations in the 1940s in LA. So, all right, I'm going to start. Hold on. I'm going to wait 2 more minutes. It's a lot. It is a lot. Again, she was somebody's daughter. She had 4 sisters. She was somebody's sister. She was somebody's aunt. She was somebody's friend in school. She was a lot of things to a lot of people. Oh, Kathy, thank you. Love you. I got your email. I got to answer it though. I just got around to emails the other day. Sorry. Just the way I am. I email you back. They were very corrupt. Mark, I could go through. Oh, so many. There is this woman named Amy Simple McPherson. Let me get her name. Amy Simple Mick. Ooh, I hope this is right. Been a minute since I've typed her name. All right. She was, this woman fascinates me. She was a Pentecostal minister, I guess you could say. Um, she was good. She was crazy, but she was good. And she set up her church in Los Angeles. And it's still there. Four Corners, I think it's called. It's gigantic. She was a superstar. She had her own radio station where she could pump out her her you know her church services. Uh, so she brought a lot of money in, right? Well, I'll tell you, Amy decided, well into her career, that she just wanted to hang out with the guy who ran her radio station, right? She faked her death. Thank you, SDA. She faked her death. And it's a big long story. It's a big long story. She faked her death. She went, and her and the boyfriend had like a week or two together, maybe 3, and then she had to fake her escape because she said, "Oh, somebody kidnapped me," and I went to the car, and they said, "Please come, my brother's dying," and she went to the car, and she was kidnapped, and no, it's crazy, but the a district attorney, crooked as shit. Crooked as, oh, thank y'all. Thank you. Sassy Sarah, baby. Sassy Sarah, let me tell you, all right, I'm going to tell you a story. I sleep at night with my phone. Let me move this. Hold on. Let me just dock this off. Hold on here. All right. Eva, at night, I have my phone and I watch or listen to one show every night. The same show. Don't ask me why. It is midnight. It was Midsummer Murders, and it is Death of the Hollow Man. Don't ask me. I just do it. It puts me right to sleep. So when I'm sleeping with this, right? Oh, I can turn the mute. I mute myself every day. I will wake up. I have muted the damn ringer. I don't realize that's happened until somebody, sends me a saucy message that I can see come in. And so I missed your phone call. And I hope Aunt Kathy is home. And I'll call you tomorrow. Oh. No, I really appreciate that. All right, let's get this party started. All right. So I'm going to grab my timeline. And the first thing I'm going to tell you about, I don't have any photographs of her. In October 12th, 1944, 3 years from, there was a heiress named Georgette Bauerdorf. And all right, so if y'all don't know, that was during the war. And Betty Davis and a couple other stars opened up the Hollywood Canteen. And that was a place where officers or, soldiers could come. They got coffee, they got donuts, they could dance. And Miss Bauerdorf started to work there as a junior hostess. All right. Now, she had like an heiress. Okay. She didn't have to work anywhere, but she chose to do that. So she left the canteen on the 11th, right? She went home. Somebody had unscrewed the light. I guess it was in front of her, at her apartment. The next day, the super of the building got complaints that there was water coming from the ceiling. So he went into her apartment, found her dead, top half of her in the bathtub, and there was bandage material at her apartment. I don't know why, and that was shoved down her throat. So it was in her throat. She obviously was dead. A lot of people believe that she might have been attacked by the same person who killed the Black Dahlia. She might well be. I don't know. I have to mention it though. So she had been raped. It was, was this the person gearing up? I don't know. So that was that. So we're going to come all the way down to January 9th. Damon, Oh, did he really? Well, yeah, they, decided he did it, but there was no fingerprint on the light bulb. Obviously, I mean, he was a smart guy. My God, he'd never been caught. So we left off January 9th. The Dahlia, Beth Short leaves out of the Olive Street exit from the Biltmore, and that's it. Now, some people did say they saw her. A couple of bars that she frequented said, "Oh yeah, we saw her. She looked like hell, but we saw her." And we don't know. We can't trust any of that. So that's it. The night of January 9th, 1947, she got a split pea soup. Revenge. Oh my goodness. Um. So on January 15th, that is where her body is found. And let's go through that. Let's go through that. I have got paper clips, babies. All right. So here we go. Now, I will say this. A black sedan was seen in the area that Miss Short was found. It was kind of rumbling, right? I mean, it was at like pre-dawn. Pre-dawn. They heard it, they saw it, people, they didn't think much of it. So we have 10 a.m. and we have Betty Bursinger, who is running she has to do some errands. So she wraps up her little 3-year-old because it's cold, and she starts to walk towards, town. Now she has to walk past all of those vacant lots. We have 2 stories on this. I'll tell you once we get there. So she's got the stroller, right? She approaches the 3900 block of Norton Avenue. Empty lots, right? And she sees what she thinks is a mannequin. Chaotic. She's almost certain that it's a mannequin because of the way it had been split in 2. All right. And she kept talking about everything I ever read about her, how white it was. It was whiter than white. The skin was just, so white. She gets a little closer and she realizes, oh shit, this is not a mannequin. She can see children on their bikes on the next road. And they use this road that with the vacant lots on it, kind of, ride their bikes. And she thought, oh no, well, I think in her mind, she probably couldn't. You see this, right? And you think, I can't possibly be seeing this. It's got to be a JP. It has to be a mannequin. So she just, there's 2 stories on this. One, she realizes it's a human and runs and gets somebody to call the police. The second story was, and this is from her mouth, that she saw this mannequin. It was so scary that she didn't want the children to see it. So she went to the house and asked the person to call because there was something that could scare the children. That's 2 different stories. She told one of them. The other people took the other one. So, yeah, that was her story. And we're just going to get trigger warning, okay? Trigger warning. In fact, let me get my trigger warning. Here we go. There. How's that? There. Is that big enough? Trigger warning. All right, so we're gonna hit it. Hello, how are you? I think I know who you are. Hey, Virgo away. That is my girl Devin right there. And Devin and my girl Catherine are in Williamsburg, Virginia, because Catherine's best friend turns 18 and they're there for her birthday. So APG. Yeah, so they're away from me now. They're away from me. All right, so let's prepare you. Okay, here we go. Here's one photo. I put this up because you can't see anything, right? I mean, and you can see how she was posed, because she was absolutely posed 100%. You can see where she's her top half is a little over askew from her All right, here's another. Again, I understand this, but this, I try not to get too close, but this is what the press had walked all around her. They did invite me 300 times. They did. That's true. She's not lying. But I said, no, I have to do this live. I have to. It's part two. I can't go have fun. I have a job. So there we go. All right. So the police complaint came in at 10:55. Again, I don't know. Clocks are hard. So they got there. Hold on, let me separate. All right. Now at 11:07, a radio car was dispatched to the scene. The reporters, where the reporters would hang out at the police station, right? And I told they were like in tune with the scanners. So they heard it, and the police had certain codes for like a murder or a body. The press knew the codes. So when the code came out, they said, oh shit, let's go. Also dispatched were 2 uniformed policemen, Frank Perkins and Will Fitzgerald. Now, they were accustomed to picking up drunks, streetwalkers, anything like that, lowbrow crime. They weren't detectives. They were just literally uniform cops. They got there and quickly thought, oh shit, no, we don't know nothing about this. We need to somebody get over here. So they did. At 11:30, word of there being a man down that was there. I mean, it's not a very good. If I was gonna pick a word, it would not be, hey Fosse. It would not be man down, but whatever. So 11:30, the word came of that man down on Norton Ave. The police and the news started spreading. People started getting over there. There were, the old bulbs, the old codes, the old like flash bulbs, like theirs would actually explode. Poof, hey warrior grandma. They were going off. People were all over the damn crime scene. So anything that was left, which I don't think was very much. All right, so this is not too bad. I mean, this is, yeah. I mean, it's all bad, but what are you gonna do? All right, so the detective showed up. Phineas Brown and Lieutenant Harry Hansen, no relation to Mark Hansen. They got there and thought, oh yeah, this ain't good. They started looking around. There was a tire track in the road. There was a heel print in the tire track on the road. And there was the empty cement bag with one watery blood drop. Watery. Yeah, they tainted the scene bad. So we enter the LA newspaper contest on who could be the most vile. And let me tell you, every one of the newspapers stepped up. They were pretty vile. So once they picked her up, they got her into the morgue. Well, we couldn't figure out who she was. Well, she was naked. She didn't have any, obviously none of her things were with her. And there was you couldn't really put a picture of her up and say, anybody recognize this girl? No. So they got there. And the press at that time had a very, very early version of a fax machine. Only the press had it, not the police, the press. So what the police officers did was say, listen, if you can help us get these prints to the FBI, you can be in on it. And so the LA Examiner said, oh, we'll do it. Not a problem. They got her prints within 56 minutes. Think about this. In 1947, it was a shitty ass fax, but within 56 minutes, the FBI had narrowed it down to one girl, Elizabeth Short. How did they do that? I'll tell you. when she worked for the cook camp uh like store, she had to have her prints done, right? She was also, if y'all will remember from last week, she was arrested when she was about 18 for being somewhere where they drinking. And so that was, so you got a photograph, Dante, you had a photograph, and you had it in 56 minutes. Pretty impressive. I was going to say that. So once they found out her name, reporters found her mother's name and her mother's information and a number, and they called her mother. And they said, we are trying to get some information on your daughter. She has won a beauty contest here in LA, and we're trying to get a little background so we'll know. So the mother starts telling them all about her daughter. And once they have enough information, they say, oh, well, anyway, no, your daughter's dead, by the way. Your daughter was murdered this morning, cut in two here in LA, but thank you, and hung up the phone. That is how her mother found out she was dead. The press called her. The press also found out who the Frenches were. That's who she stayed with the month before she died. They found them. They got to them. They got exclusives before the cops even got anywhere. And they it's ingenious, I guess, but not really. It was kind of just disgusting, actually. So I will say this: the hardened reporters were shocked at what they saw in the 3900 block of Norton Avenue that morning. I mean, that's just never happened there. That's, you just think right now, even today, as screwed up as people are today, you don't see a lot of that. But anyway, they could. So obviously she had been posed, right, with her arms up here, like I think it was over to one side, and her body, her legs over here spread. Now we're gonna get into the autopsy in a minute. This is just things they could tell when they looked at it. Her hair was kind of matted with blood, even though she was rinsed with gasoline. She was rinsed off with gasoline. And I wondered why you would do that. Because at the time, there was no DNA. There was no, so how did they know to wash the body in gasoline? They washed her stuff too. Her we'll talk about it in a minute, when her stuff was mailed to the examiner's office. So they could tell that she had been subdued from her wrists, her ankles, and her neck. So this guy strung her up, basically. There were bruises and cuts all over her face and head. The body was cut into, starting right up under the ribs. Oh, I know. But listen, Jack the Ripper was in and out. You know, it didn't take him long at all to kill those women. And I think there was one, if I'm not mistaken, I'm getting off on this because we did Jack the Ripper. There was only one victim that he spent time with, and that was the last one that he went into her little, whatever you call it, and he had time, and he had time. Let's say that he had a lot of time. So obviously we had the injury from her to her mouth. Now she died as a result of a hemorrhage from those cuts to her mouth. She also had a pretty bad head wound. She had been beaten the hell out of. All right. And they could tell they could tell that possibly she was severed, as lack of a better word, after death, because it was no real bruising around the incisions. So, let's hope that's right. Now people saw the black car leaving, right? She was laid down in the dew. So there was dew on her. So the police, even though that car was seen at before dawn, the police estimated that she was put into that lot around 2 a.m. because the dew had fallen on her. Hey, Rain Girl, I love you, baby. Yeah, that's where we are. So we got her. All right, now we're gonna go to autopsy. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. All right. So on Thursday, January 16th, the body was placed on the hard porcelain mortuary table. Let me see what this is. All right. Oh, sorry. That's another. Look how far. You see how far her. She looks. Let me see. Let me get back. Like even right there. Well, no, there. You know, you can't get you can't. Man, you can't tell how far away the body is, right, from each other until you hit this one right here, which I just hit. They're pretty good ways from each other. I mean, baby, how are you, love? Yeah. So there you are. Frederick Newbar, MD, chief autopsy surgeon of the of Los Angeles, did the autopsy of, at that point, still Jane Doe. They hadn't put a name to her yet. So the body had been cut completely in two using a technique taught in the 1930s called a hemicorpo. Yeah, just trust me on that. I don't know anything. In which the diarticulation, I did all these big words, of the lumbar spine and the transection of the spinal cord, the pelvic contents, lower extremities, and in some cases, the external genitalia were removed. So there was a point to this murder, meaning that, hey, Rodine, how are you, love? Thank you, Rowena. There was a precedence for this, right? It was an actual technique, like I said, for people that were severely injured or so, and it was pretty clean. It was about as clean as you can get it, is what they said. Because there was no hey, Charlie, there was no hesitation in any of these cuts, right? They were clean. He didn't nick any organs. It was a clean cut through the back of the spine. I mean, it was pretty textbook perfect. Yeah. So then she had no blood in her. None of her blood was there. I thought that, like, say if you preparing a body for a burial, there's a certain way, isn't it, that I thought, and this is just my thoughts, that they got the blood out of the body, and you'd open an artery and you'd open another artery, and you just wash it with with the formaldehyde. I don't know. This little girl didn't have nothing. No blood. Oh, really? So I didn't know that. Because you know what? I never heard the gasoline thing, and I've read all these books, and I never heard of that. And then I had to double check it because I'd never heard it, and they were like, "Oh yeah." So I guess I wasn't. I didn't know. It says she was washed with gasoline, likely in an effort to remove any incriminating evidence left by the killer. He was smart. Oh no, it's okay, honey, baby, it's okay. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that, honey. Let's see. There appeared to be little bruising along the incision line, suggesting it was performed post-mortem. Well, let's go up to the face. There was a gaping laceration measuring 4.5 inches long that ran the longitudinal along the abdomen, right down to her pelvic area. I don't think I've put in a picture of that. Well, nope, there it is. If you look, it's down there. Y'all can see it. I'm circling, but y'all can't see me circling it. It's there. That's why I don't even use spell check. I get that autocorrect makes me so mad. Yeah, so you can absolutely see it there. Um, that didn't kill her though. Then we go to the Glasgow smile, which is where she was cut ear to ear from the corners of her mouth. One was, let's see, one was 3 inches long from here to here. The other was 2.5 inches long from over here to over here. Each side of her face. Now, when you look at her straight on in the autopsy photos, when you look at her straight on with that cut, and they have put her picture, her, while she's alive, and they put a picture of the body, the face afterwards. I guess because all the blood's gone too, it doesn't look. There's no way that, there is no way. She doesn't even look human. That's one reason, too, why I didn't show it. She doesn't even look, hey, Fox, she does not look human. And she in no way, obviously, resembles her photographs, when she was alive. So that is what killed her. Those two lacerations. She hemorrhaged to death. He also, Dr. Newbar, did find the ligature marks on her wrists, ankles, and neck, indicating that she had been restrained with some type of material, most likely rope. So there was no chains. You said the tilt. You see, I would show that, and if y'all go look at the autopsy photos, the bottom, all right, so her bottom half here, it looks pretty level, right? No. Her hips are, all right, so I'm trying to, her hips are almost, they're bent, all right? So she wasn't laying down when they did it. She was likely sitting up when they did this because her body, especially at the hips, are up. It's horrible. You can go look at it. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So there was also an irregular laceration with superficial tissue loss on her right breast, along with lacerations to her left upper arm, her right forearm, and the lower side of her chest. What does that mean? I do not know. I do not know. I am not a doctor. The skull showed no fracture. However, there was bruising noted in the front and right side of her scalp. So we haven't opened her up yet. All right. So some other rumors that were debunked, and I'm going to let you know what they are right now. All right. So some people reported, I have that cut. I have a book over there called Cut, and it is well, I'll tell you, I'll show you later. So some of the press said there were cigarette burns all over her body, like somebody put cigarettes out on her. There were none. They were not found. She did not, and that did not happen. No cigarette marks. So there was none of that, and none of it is in the official autopsy report, which is handwritten, by the way, and I got it. I can't read any. It's handwritten and it's crazy doctor writing, so I don't know how they did it. She was made to eat her own feces. And some people said, oh no, that didn't happen. It's in the autopsy report. It most definitely did happen. I don't think Dr. Newbar would put that in there if it wasn't true. I think I don't know why they would say that didn't happen, but it did. It's in the autopsy report, and there we go. There was a small amount of bleeding on the right side, consistent with blows to the head. Newbar determined the cause of death as massive internal hemorrhaging caused by blows to the head and shock from the violence to her head and face. So it is the blows to the head and the hemorrhaging from the mouth. That was her two causes of death. One, basically, if she'd had either one of these injuries and not the other, she still would have died. There was small amounts of bleeding to the right, consistent with blows to the head. I mean, also her anal canal had been dilated to 1 3/4 inches. So was she raped? We'll never know. There was nothing found in her body, and they think maybe that happened after, post-mortem. Not, I hope that happened after she was dead, but we don't know. Oh Lord, I forgot. We got something over here. All right, so the coroner's report revealed no traces of sperm, and they took samples from a lot of her. No sperm was found at all. Let's see. Oh, some people thought she was pregnant. Not pregnant at all. Nope, not even a little bit. Even though her organs were removed and put back in, they said she had an underdeveloped vagina. That wasn't true either. I don't know where people got that from. Let me get it all. Oh, it said, well, Short had died a particularly brutal and painful death. Yeah, to say the least. Shortly after the autopsy, the deputy coroner, they got in touch with the Herald Express reporter and let him know that Beth Short was having sex with men. Now that is the quote that I have here. That the coroner's report that was leaked to the Herald Express let Bevo know that she was having sex with men. Because let's just go ahead. Let's absolutely go ahead and drag this girl through the mud. Now, she did have a small uterus. Not a deformed one, not one that was incomplete, just small. Some people have small ones. If you haven't had a baby, you're probably going to have a small uterus. If you have had a baby, they never go back, the way they were. Just so, that's not anything weird either. So that was not. To this day, the Los Angeles Department will not comment on the specifics of the weapon used to sever her body. It is believed the killer used either a butcher knife to eventually saw her in two, but they have not, in the 70 years, they have never described what the instrument was that was used. I don't know why now. They don't. I don't know. I don't even know. Excerpts from the official coroner's report: multiple lacerations with to the forehead and to the top head midline. So that's here. Multiple crisscross lacerations to the suprapubic area. All right, so it was crisscrossed things, which extend through the skin and soft tissue. So that's pretty damn deep, in my opinion. Lacerations of the intestines and both kidneys. There were lacerations to that, but not from apparently him cutting her in two the first time. This was done probably more than likely after he was pushed, because he shoved all this stuff back in there. It could be a butcher, it could be a hunter, it could be a doctor. We have it all. We got it all. People from every walk of life. Lacerations of the intestines and lower kidneys. The uterus was small, no pregnancy apparent. The tubes, ovaries, and cul-de-sac. I thought a cul-de-sac was a neighborhood that you turned around in, right? A cul-de-sac is actually part of the body down there. Don't know. I didn't know that. I learned something every day. So within the thank you, Halloween baby. I love you. Within the vagina and higher up, there's a loose piece of skin with a little bit of fat attached to it. And that had several crisscross lacerations. The anal opening was marked. I told y'all this. Big, I love you. Thank you. Um, so the stomach was full of greenish brown matter, mostly feces and other particles, which could not be identified. Now, you might be saying, but hey, Shannon, it could happen now. Why don't they go back and look for, test all this stuff? They don't have it. They don't have anything. Nothing. Every piece of evidence in this case is no longer anywhere to be found. How did it get? Where did it go? Nobody knows. It is not in the LA county, nothing. Every single piece of the evidence is gone. I don't know how that happens, but it sure as hell is weird to me. But that's all. Anal opening marked dilated. The stomach was full of the greenish stuff. It appears as though many of the lacerations, including the dilation of the anal opening, were done after the woman's death. So that's good. The victim's carved flesh and pubic hair had been forced into her vagina and rectum. That's why I told y'all he when he cut stuff out, he just stuffed it into another orifice, or let's see. The right breast had been cut off. There was a bluish decoloration surrounding the Glasgow smile, suggesting that she was alive at the time that it was done, which kind of makes sense because once you're dead, your blood stops flowing. That's why in some crime scenes, if somebody's been shot and they died immediately, there's not a lot of bleeding going on. There's not a lot of bleeding at all because, but because she actually died from the hemorrhage, she was obviously awake and alive when he did it. Each big toe of each foot was painted bright red. Each big toe on each foot was painted bright red. She had a tattoo on her leg that had been cut off. And there's a really good picture of that. If you want to look at this one that we have right here, you can see it over here to the left. That hole, that was a tattoo. They found that also in her vagina or anus. I don't really know. So Dr. Newbar said that the death had occurred 24 hours before she was discovered. Possibly less time than that. Thanks, Dr. Newbar, for nailing that down for us. But yeah, either 24 hours at least before she was discovered, or possibly less. Way to get on that, dude. So we'll go back to the crime scene. All right, so there were further mutilations, including several cuts to her breast and thighs, where large portions of the flesh had been removed. The killer used a knife to slash 3-inch gashes into the corner of her mouth. So they used a knife there. There were rope marks on her wrist. Again, just making sure we got all this. The detectives were able to determine the height of the victim by measuring the two halves, which they put her around 5'6", and her weight would have been 115. So she was little. She had mostly brown hair that had been hennaed. She put henna on it, which made it look black, I guess. And the fingernails were bitten. They noticed that near the body there was a heel print on the ground amid tire tracks, as well as the one bloody, watery drip on the bucket on the bag. All right, so this is red. They're Red Manley. Now, they figured out real quick when they talked to the Frenches, right? The people that she was with the whole month before she died, they gave the police the name Red Manley. That is who she was with. They pulled in Red Manley and interrogated him for hours and hours and days because they were sure he did it. But he passed every single lie detector they gave him. So when he was released, right, his wife stood there hugging him. Did he have sex with Elizabeth Short, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But he was ruled out rather quickly. Um, so now we go to ID. I got my people, y'all don't even know. I am so up on this. I told y'all about the reporters. So when they couldn't figure out who she was, they got the people from the examiner to send the fingerprints to FBI. The FBI took 56 minutes and said, "Oh yeah, that's Elizabeth Short." Um, so she had her name back. She was finally somebody again. She wasn't Jane Doe number one because that was her name for days. Jane Doe number one. Um, when the reporters saw how attractive that she was, oh, they ran with that. They ran with it. They yeah, they ran with it. To juice up the story, the Examiner reporter resorted to a highly unethical play where I told you they called the mother and said that she had won a huge beauty contest. And then when they were done with it, they said, "Oh yeah, no, your daughter's dead." Um, the Examiner also offered to pay Phoebe Short, which is her mother. They offered to pay her expense to come out to LA, and accommodations. And they wanted to make sure that was done so they could keep her away from the other newspapers. That way, if they could control how she got there and where she stayed, they didn't have to worry about the other reporters. No leads on the three people. No Sandy. None. None. Yeah, it is, Mark. I realized, it is a very common tactic, and I thought they're pretty, pretty brilliant. Um, yeah, bless her heart. So they offered that to keep her away from the press. So I think we have her picture here in a minute. That's him taking. That is Red taking another. He took several past every one of them. Do y'all remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about Kyron Horman when they tried to give his stepmother a lie detector, and she said that you couldn't do that. You can't do that. I haven't had sleep, but I'm tired. You can't give me a lie detector test. Red Manley had a bunch of them, and he had been interrogated for days, and he passed every damn one of them. Just saying. Mm-hmm. I believe I have a photograph of her mother, actually. Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that in a second. We're going to go back. All right, we got that. Now, there was a reporter named Aggie I think it was the Herald, and then you had Jimmy Richardson. He was the editor for the Examiner. All right, these two different newspapers. Aggie got the jump on the Frenches, right? She got to the Frenches before anybody else. So Jimmy Richardson said, "Oh, no, you ain't gonna beat me to the mother." And that's when they told the mother, "We're gonna pay you way out here. We're gonna put you up, and just talk to us." That's all. So the two newspapers were, and there were more newspapers obviously in town, but these two, the Herald and the Examiner, were in direct competition on who could screw the other one out of it, and they did. So when they got to the French's house thing, they realized. Oh, they said, "Oh, she left here with she put a big trunk into storage down here." Really? Hey, Enlightened Road. So they go right. They go to where the warehouse is that she put her trunk? Well, it had been sent to L.A. Mind you, this was Long Beach where she stayed. That trunk was sent to LA to be put in their I don't think so, Rain Girl, but I don't know. She existed. Somehow she made it. Yeah, exactly, Mark. I don't think she was. I think she did what she had to do. And if she could get by with not having sex and could get a dinner or whatever, she would do it. And only if she had to would she have sex with them. I don't know, though. That's why I've read all these books, and everybody has a different story or a different opinion. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Um, so they went to get the non-pay. I mean, the trunk. They said, "Oh, it's L.A." She didn't pay for it. It's in L.A. So this became big, right? Who was going to get the trunk? Oh, who was going to get the trunk? So I'll tell you who did get it. The Examiner got it. And the trunk arrived at the examiner office. Okay. Well, the trunk was a gold mine. In the trunk, it contained her clothes, photograph, albums, letters from dozens of men, which that's what she did. Uh, Jimmy Richardson managed to get a hold of the Dahlia's 2 suitcases that she had. You remember when her and Red came into LA, she checked her suitcases in the Greyhound bus station instead of taking it to the Biltmore where Elizabeth told him she was meeting her sister. So they got those too. They got the trunk, and then they got the 2 suitcases and hat box. So they found Elizabeth's autograph book, and there was no stars in it. It was like people she went to school with, had signed it, kind of like I guess a yearbook. So everything she owned, they had. Everything the kid owned. So let's go to January 22nd, 1947, and this would be the coroner's court. Now, when we talked about, and if y'all, Thelma Todd. We talked about Thelma Todd. So when she was found, the body goes in, it's autopsied, and they have a court where they will pull people off the side of the street. Come on, be in this court, and they will hold a court on how the person died, just how they died. If it was a murder by persons unknown or whatever. So we had one of those at 10:30 a.m. The coroner's court was packed to overflowing. The first person on the stand was Phoebe Short, who related how her daughter had left her home in April of the previous year. As far as she knew, Elizabeth worked as a waitress and at a hospital at the San Diego Naval Hospital, and how she came to hear about her daughter's death, which was the newspaper. So as far as she knew, Beth was working in a hospital and she was being a citizen of the United States. She was working. That's not what Beth was doing at all. So they said that Phoebe's testimony was deadpan. Like she wasn't upset. She was just monotone, right? When she delivered this. And I thought to myself, as a mother of 4, if I had to attend one of these, I think I would be in so much shock. Because at this point, the child had been dead, what, 2 weeks, a week, 15th through the week. A lot of these books always say that her testimony was very just deadpan. And we'll see, I got a picture of her too. Ah, shit. All right, we'll go back to that. There she go. That's her mom. Again, this is her mom in LA. Look at her. She's shell-shocked. She's shell-shocked. Exactly, Sandy. I don't care what this girl did. I don't care if she kicked puppies for no human being on earth deserves what this child went through. But so Miss Short had refused to look at the body that lay draped in a white sheet on a mortuary slab behind a pane of glass. She said, "I want to remember Elizabeth as she was." So with Phoebe and Beth's older sister, which was Virginia, finally forced themselves to ask, thank you, Carrie Love, they finally decided that it was time that they saw the body. I do not know what would possess them to want to see it. They knew what the injuries were. They knew this kid had been laying around for a week. But they did. They looked at the body. They said that Phoebe stared at her for a moment and then closed her eyes and said, "It looks like my daughter, but I can't be sure." So Phoebe said Elizabeth had a large mole on her left shoulder, and she asked if the corpse had this mole, and it did. It did have that mole, so it was positively identified by her mother, which they didn't need. But so the next detective, Lieutenant Jesse Haskins of the LAPD, one of the first to arrive at the scene, stated that the body was found on the west side of Norton Avenue in a vacant lot covered with weeds, grass, and rose clippings. Uh, Let me just tell you, rose clippings were not left by the murderer. The people around there, when they trimmed their roses or whatever, they would throw it over in these vacant lots. Any kind of clippings, whatever, they just threw them in the lots. They, they don't have to worry about it. So that wasn't anything like the murderer, left roses. No, it was just cut, cut stuff. She was found face up and severed into two halves, legs spread apart. There were tire tracks up against the curbing and what appeared to be an imprint of a bloody heel inside the tire mark. I don't know how that would have happened. I don't know how that would have happened. But anyway, it could have been a murder. I don't know. There were so many people there, you don't even know. There was one blood stain on the sidewalk and an empty cement bag there. Let's see. The body was clean. All right. So let's go on. Red Manley was there. He was asked to come in, and he repeated the story he had already told the police, which is how he met her, how he brought her back, how she checked her stuff at the Greyhound station. He left her at 6:30 at the Biltmore to wait for her sister. I'm sure he didn't add, and I was glad to get rid of her like he did before. But so and then Newbar came on and read his autopsy report. As he reached the most crucial points, the details of the mutilation, he was cut short by the coroner Brown. I don't think, what did he say? He said, I don't believe this will be necessary for you to read all of this. So he didn't want all that read in front of, I guess, her mother. Her father wasn't there. Yeah. So the verdict of the coroner's jury, after about 45 minutes, that, oh, thank you, Cat, stop it, Cat, go play with, there's Catherine. Go have fun. Go have fun. Go have fun. I love you, Tara. The verdict came back that Elizabeth Short died from hemorrhage and shock due to a concussion on the brain and the laceration of the face. The injuries had been inflicted by on the deceased by a person or persons unknown. The morning of January 23rd, Jimmy Richardson got a phone call from someone claiming to have Beth's belongings. And the guy called Jimmy Richardson and said, I want to congratulate you on your coverage of this case. And Jimmy was like, well, thank you very much. What can I do for you? And he said, well, I'll send you something in a few days. And so Jimmy was like, all right, fine. And what he ended up receiving was, oh, I struck this. Hold on. Let's gonna see it. Let's see. I'm gonna show her dad, I think. Now, there's her father. And here is what her father said to the reporters. I don't want nothing to do with this, he told the detectives. I broke off with the mother and the family several years ago. My wife wanted it that way. 5 years ago, Elizabeth wrote me and I sent her money to come out here. We set up housekeeping, but she wouldn't stay home. In 1943, I told her to go her way and I'll go mine. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, just didn't want any part of it. I want nothing to do with this. In this case, he probably should have jumped off that bridge many years before when Elizabeth was 6. Probably should have jumped off that fucking building. but you didn't. And this is, I mean, like I said, great guy, right? This is Mark Hansen, and he is one of the suspects in this because they had a relationship that nobody seems to be able to categorize. They said he was obsessed with Elizabeth Short. That's why he would let her come back, and then he'd get mad at her and he'd like make her go. And then he would say, no, 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 not at all. No. You know, who knows? Oh no, there's the core four. Oh my God, Marner, Travaris, Matthews, and Nylander. Oh my goodness, where did they get there? You silly boys. Okay, so somebody last week asked if I had a map from the Biltmore to where she was found. And here it is. I had it. It is, what does it say? 26 minutes or 26 miles? I can't even remember. Oh, 26 minutes. They're 26 minutes apart. So, could she have been kidnapped right out in front of the Biltmore and taken 26? Mind you, she was gone a week, a whole week. No one knew where she was. So, it does look shady, right? All right, so let's see. Hold on, let me get. All right. So Jimmy Richardson has talked to this person on the phone, and the guy said, "I'm going to send you something." He said, "Oh, okay, whatever." And he gets this. Here is the Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow. That is when Jimmy Richardson realized he spoke to the killer 2 or 3 days before. Let me tell you exactly how many, because I got my timeline from hell. I'll tell you when that was. The 24th. Okay, so the 21st is when the killer called James Richardson. And he said he congratulated him on the coverage of the Black Dahlia. On the 24th of January 1947, a manila envelope addressed to the Los Angeles Examiner and other papers, that was the two was listened to, arrived. Now, I'll tell you what happened is a postal worker intercepted this and said, no, something's weird here. And I'm going to open this because it's odd. And I am a postmaster, whoever. And the cops because he wasn't going to open it. He was going to open it for the cops. All right. So they worked it out where the examiner got to be there. The policemen were there. And then when they opened it up, here was this note and her belongings. Now, in this thing was, let's see. You can see as he's cut and pasted this, right? He's cut and pasted it. It had about, I want to say 4 fingerprints on it. However, they were not clear, and even like the partials that they submitted couldn't be compared to anything. So they got nothing off this. All of her things had been cleaned in gasoline. So it was a handbag. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. So in this, we have in this manila envelope, we have Beth's birth certificate, business cards. Now, I'm sure she didn't have business cards. She probably had them from men. Photographs, names written on pieces of paper, an address book with the name Mark Hansen embossed on the front of it. And like her body, the packet had been cleaned with gasoline, like her body. And then, like I told you, they weren't, they couldn't use. Same day, a handbag and a black suede shoe was found on top of a garbage can in an alley a short distance away from Norton Avenue, 2 miles away from Norton Avenue to be precise. Okay. They had to call in Red Manley back and say, does this look like any of her stuff? And we have a photo of him going through it. This was another one. I'll go back to that. Hold on. That's in the manila envelope. There's Red going through it, the shoes, and he did say, yes, this is absolutely her stuff. Now, I'm going to take you to another possibility. another possible victim. On February 10th, the body of Jean French, no relation to the Frenches that Elizabeth stayed with, her body was found in a vacant lot, face up. She had been covered with her own clothes, like she was naked, but her own clothes were on top of her. She had been covered in bruises, blood, and mud. Her face was beaten into a pulp, and on her body was, and let me get back here and get it. Wrong one. Oh, boys. They're so silly. All right, sorry. I thought I had. Shit. Let me go. No, I'm skipped. Don't look at the pictures. Don't look at the pictures. All right. Okay. Now you see there Jean's body up there on the left, on the top. Written on her torso in her own lipstick was this: "Fuck you, BD." That was written on her torso with her own lipstick. She had been stomped and so beaten so violently that she suffered massive internal bleeding, a broken neck, and a punctured heart. This is basically a couple of weeks after Elizabeth was found. Now, you see there where the D on her body on the left. The D from the right is actually from one of the letters of the, because the Black Dahlia Avenger who sent the packet of stuff did send a handwritten note after the cut and paste of the other one, and it closely, they do look alike. All right, I'll say that they do look alike. So yeah. So we're gonna go back a little bit. On December 26th, another letter, handwritten, that read, and this is, let me find it. Hold on. I thought I had let me find it. I get carried away on my picture sniping, and then when I have to put them in order. So there it is. That's written on her. And BD is obviously Black Dahlia. That name was given to Elizabeth quite early in this. And I got a note. Let me see. There were other murders in the area. That one was the White Gardenia. One was, for some reason, these newspaper guys, devious, these newspaper men had to call murder victims, flower names. I don't really know. So let's find his next. Let's see. Ah, that's the first one. All right. This says turning myself in. I don't know. I didn't write this down. Basically said he was going to turn himself in on the 30th. I want the 29th at 10 a.m. He was going to turn himself in. All right. And you see this is handwritten. And then the third, have changed my mind. You would not give me a square deal. Dahlia killing was justified. Okay. No. I mean, oh, Mark, I tried. All right. So, yeah. And all of them signed like BD, Black Dahlia Avenger. Now let's go to the back now. Let's go to the 29th. That's another cut and paste right here. So on March 14th, 1947, an apparent suicide note written with a pencil was found tucked in a shoe and a pile of men's clothing near a popular beach in Venice, California. It read, "To whom it may concern, I have waited for the people, all right, let me start. To whom it may concern, I have waited for the police to capture me for the Black Dahlia killing, but have not. I am too much of a coward to turn myself in, so this is the way out for me. Couldn't help myself for that, or this. Sorry, Mary." Now, is this the same person who sent we absolutely know that Jimmy Richardson was contacted by the murderer. Okay, the first call, we know that was the murderer because he's the one that said, "I'm going to send you something in a couple days." 2 days later, hey, Southern girl. 2 days later, he gets the packet. And then we have that I'm going to turn myself in, that I'm not going to turn myself in, and now this on the March, March is like, I'm just going to kill myself, basically. So, yeah, let's go to some suspects. So, Mark Hansen was a really good suspect. The police actually asked for permission to bug his house, and they received permission. Now, they didn't, there was nothing they could use. There was nothing they could use that was said in those, in those recordings. Nothing. So I wonder where my boy, the clean urine stash is, because he thinks Mark Handsome, whatever did it. No. So in the spring of 1947, Beth Short's case had become a cold case. In just that little bit of time, from January to the spring, her whole case went cold. Nothing came back. So let's go to September 1949. A grand jury was convened to discuss inadequacies in the LAPD's homicide unit on their failure to solve numerous murders. Okay. Also, this year, or that year, 1947, 60 confessions came in. 60 confessions just in that year. Now it's over 500 confessions. And when a police officer takes a confession, this person might not have even been alive in 1947, but the policeman is bound to take the confession. So a lot of people wasted a lot of time confessing to this shit or turning in their name. Hey, Lily. Oh, I love you. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Um, it's a great, any book about Dahlia is great. Yeah, 500 people confessed, like I said. All right, 1949, we're going to enter Dr. DeRiver. And he began his investigation, by the way, not with the permission of the Los Angeles Police Department, into a man, Leslie Dillon. In the process, Dr. DeRiver and the gangster unit, now the gangster unit of the LAPD was turned, they exclusively handled the Dahlia murder. So, and I told you that Dr. DeRiver put a story out to a detective magazine that wasn't entirely accurate. Yes, you are too. It wasn't accurate. He said the killer will contact. And Jack Sand did contact him from Florida, and they had a correspondence. Well, stupid Jack Sand, aka Leslie Dillon, used his own post office box in Miami as a return address. Not the smartest guy on the playground, but because of that, they knew where he was. All right. So this is a very convoluted story. And if I had to sit here and explain this to y'all, and I'm not saying y'all stupid or anything, this is very, oh God, it's so much. So DeRiver ended up saying, listen, I really like you, and I think that, hey, squids, I think that you can really help me. I almost, you know what, Mr. Sand, I almost want you to be my secretary. I want you to help me, because Jack Sand had said, I'll help you find this murderer. Oh, okay. So in Las Vegas is where they told him to meet them, right? DeRiver has taken policemen from the gangster unit, which is now the Black Dahlia unit, and gone across over to Las Vegas. They picked up Mr. Leslie Dillon and they held him in hotel rooms and wouldn't let him call anybody. They wouldn't let him do anything. He eventually had to drop a postcard out of a window asking for help. This kind of fucked the investigation up because all of a sudden, and there was a lot that went in this. Read this book, Black Dahlia, Red Rose. You read it. It is fascinating what this man did. What these people did to this man who might have been the murderer. What DeRiver would do is he would come up with profiles. He was one of the first profiles. The FBI said they were no. It was Dr. DeRiver and another doctor that would come up with profiles. And there was a child that was murdered, and horrible, almost Black Dahlia horrible. And when the man was eventually caught, DeRiver had basically named every single, profile. He would well read. He was this. He had, and so Dr. DeRiver became kind of like a celebrity around. He was he's smart. Yeah. So anyway, he didn't have permission to go pick this guy up, and he definitely didn't have permission to, to withhold his human rights. And the city got sued by Mr. Leslie Dillon. Now, Leslie Dillon was a lunatic. Okay, he was a bellhop. He was let me find all this. Shit. Let's be fun. I wrote the suspects. I don't know why I wrote them in pencil, but I did. He was supposedly he worked in a mortuary. He was kind of a jack of all trades. Wherever he could go, get money and make money, he would. We get to the good part now. I'm going to give you a list of kind of some of these suspects that weren't at all. So we have a Jack Anderson. Hold on, I'm just going to do this. Jack Anderson Wilson, a.k.a. Arnold Smith. He was a longtime petty criminal and alcoholic who was interviewed by author John Gilmore while Gilmore was researching his book Severed. That's also a very good book. After Wilson's death, Gilmore named Wilson as a suspect because of his alleged acquaintance with Beth Short. Prior to Wilson's death, however, Gilmore made an entirely different claim to the Los Angeles Herald in a story appearing in 1982. So, whatever. Then we have this Patrick S. O'Reilly. In 1951, the suspect list by the LA Lieutenant Frank B. Jemison included this Dr. Patrick Shane O'Reilly, an orthopedic surgeon in the LA area. He was considered a suspect because of his association with two friends of Elizabeth Short's, including Mark Hansen. Having physically assaulted his secretary in 1939 and having surgically removed part of his right breast in a similar crime, Dr. O'Reilly was also a suspect due to being a skilled surgeon who was earlier credited with saving the life of Lucy, whoever. In 2023, it was found that O'Reilly had lied about his name. He wasn't even a fucking doctor. Anyway, I'm going to play for you in a second. Walter Bailey was a doctor. Was a doctor, okay? And I'm going to let you hear it from the reporter who lays out his case in James Elroy's Feast of Death. I don't know if y'all remember. I told you it's a really interesting documentary. Hey, Alan. And so the reporter Larry Harnish is there, and this it's a dinner party basically, and he lays out why he thinks Walter Bailey is the murderer. So we'll just do that over here. I'm going to go on and cut through some of this shit stupid. Some of this shit stupid. Okay, so we have a Norman Chandler. He's the publisher of the Los Angeles Times from 1945 to 1960. In Donald Wolf's 2005 The Black Dahlia Files, the mob, the mogul, and the murder that transfixed Los Angeles. It was a very complicated scenario where this author said that the publisher of an editor of a major newspaper is the one that killed her. No. All right, I'm going to do, we have Dr. Hodel is coming up. But before we get there, we have George Knowlton. Now, his daughter Janice began claiming that she witnessed her father. Let me just do this. Hold on. All right, that's all of the letters. I don't think they were all the Dahlia, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, so let's read about this. This Janice said that she witnessed her father murdering Elizabeth Short, a claim she based largely on recovered memories of her therapist. Anyway, that, yeah, surface through therapy. These memories came back, this is a quote, largely recovered memories that surfaced during therapy for depression after a hysterectomy. Okay. So based on these recovered memories, Knowlton published Daddy Was the Black Dahlia Killer with veteran crime writer Michael Newton in 1995. In the book, Knowlton, a former singer and owner of a public relations company, alleged that her father had been having an affair with Elizabeth Short and that Short was staying in a makeshift bedroom in their garage where she suffered a miscarriage. George Knowlton allegedly murdered Short in the garage and bisected her body in the sink, and then forced his then 10-year-old daughter Janice to accompany him as he disposed of the body. And Gilly, of course. So according to Knowlton, Short was a sex worker and procured children for a sex trafficking ring. This is all from this woman. All right, God love her. So, yeah, she claimed that a former member of the LA Sheriff's Department told her that her father was considered a suspect in these cases and by that agency, but this claim was unsupported by any public document or anything like that. So she ended up killing herself March 5th, 2004. I don't think her father was it. I don't know from what memories that she pulled this from. Obviously, she was very disturbed by this because I'm almost positive that she believes that I think she believed this in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. I don't know. So then we have Dr. Hodel. And then if you will remember, all right, you remember Gordon Fickling, who basically was in a relationship with Beth Short for years and years. He was her go-to. If she needed money, all she had to do was let him know and he would get it there. So he was the subject for a while, but then you found out where he was. And there were things like, in some of her letters, let's see. I told you that he said the thought of her kissing someone else made him crazy. Honey, he wrote in a telegram, I'm sorry about the wire you sent. Couldn't raise the money on that short notice. Glad you managed okay. I want that picture of you very much. So that was presumably in response to her asking him for money. Then we have another one. Darling, your request is impossible at this time. Other obligations have me against the wall. Try to make other arrangements. I'm concerned and sorry, believe me. She's asking him for money all these years, and he is still politely sending her money, or saying, I can't do it. They continue to correspond. He said he got his last letter from her on December 8th. So, is it right? Let me check. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, December was when he got his last. When she wrote him from the Frenches in San Diego. And the final letter said, I'll never regret coming west to see you. This is her to him. I will never regret coming west to see you. You didn't take me in your arms and keep me in there. However, it was nice as long as it lasted. You had a great deal on your mind, and I was just an extra burden. Yes, Vicky. We're gonna hear the That's so sad, but I mean, she did what she did. All right. Now, two other possible. I gotta mention it. Two other possible suspects. Orson Welles. In her 2000 book, Mary Whoever, a former neighbor of the Short family in Medford, suggested that the filmmaker Orson Welles was a suspect. Of course he was. Why? I don't know. Bugsy Siegel. The Los Angeles mobster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was allegedly a suspect in the murder investigation of Short. The reason why he was a suspect is unclear, especially since Siegel was more concerned with the Flamingo Hotel and Casino at the time, and he was known to be a ladies' man, not a lady killer. So, also Siegel was involved with Chicago's outfit. All right, so I'm going to introduce you. I hope I can do this. All right, I'm going to take this down. There we go. All right, we got it. Am I over here? There we go. All right, I'm going to hit play. This is James Ellroy, Feast of Death. Please go watch it. It's fascinating. James Ellroy's mother was murdered when he was about 9. Never have found her murderer, but this is a very interesting man and a very interesting so let me see. I hope I got it right.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. And of course, Larry Harnish over here, my dear friend,
that's Larry
and
Harnish,
esteemed colleague and Black Dahlia obsessee, has come up with what I think is the only plausible explanation as to what happened to the raven-haired seductress Elizabeth Short in Los Angeles roughly 54 years ago today.
Exactly right.
She was missing today.
This was the lost week. There was a lost week. She was dropped off at the Biltmore on the 9th. Body was found on the 15th. So this is the lost week. Elizabeth Short is a 22-year-old woman from Massachusetts. She's one of 5 girls. The dad walked out on the family when the Depression hit. So the oldest one, Virginia, is raising the rest of the younger kids. Late July, early August of 46, Elizabeth Short comes out to Los Angeles. She goes up to Hollywood, and she somehow gets involved with an outfit called the Florentine Gardens. Florentine Gardens is a nightclub up on Hollywood Boulevard. It's still there.
Still call that.
It's still called that. Absolutely. It looks like nothing like it in this, but it was very racy. And she rents a room from the guy who's the business manager at the nightclub. What the guy is doing is it's basically his house, and he's renting rooms to various attractive young women, wannabe starlets or whatever. Now, all this time she's in LA, she's not working. So the question is, where did she get money? She wasn't shy about asking people for money. That's one thing she was not shy about doing. She finally ended up living in a place, it's right up by Musso and Franklin. I think it's on Cherokee.
Yeah.
It was $1 a day, 8 girls on bunk beds. Each pay $1 a day.
It wasn't by the hour.
Okay.
I hate it when they
And
do
and she's up and down Hollywood Boulevard,
that.
getting
Someplace I know.
picked up, with no money.
No money? She's not charging money?
What she's
Just for
doing
connection?
is
Maybe
no, what
not.
she's doing is she's
Thank you.
letting these guys spend money on her and then stuffing them, so to speak. Thanks for the lovely meal, yada
It'll
yada.
happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's how she
something
got
new.
nailed then, huh?
That's
She-
the
she
question.
She stiffed the wrong guy.
So this is like a justifiable murder you're describing.
Yeah.
Or
This
what?
is like-
Anyway, that's how she was existing.
Do you think she was hooking?
No, I don't.
You don't
I
think?
don't think. I think she was shutting
think she
guys
was-
down.
Do you think she was picking up all these guys?
I
and she
think-
wasn't
Did
doing
she
it?
have a guy? That's the
I think
question.
a little bit of hand here, a little bit of head there, maybe some intercourse there, on and off,
Yeah.
ad hoc, according to what was going on in the moment.
I always thought she was a hooker.
Well, yeah. The people think that. People think lots of things.
But and
But
everything
that's the
you told
impression
me
put forward.
would indicate to me that whether, no offense, whether you believe she's a hooker or not, if she's out there every night going with different guys, and I believe, as James said a while ago, that at times, if she could get out of it, obviously she's going to get out of it because she can go to the next guy.
Right.
But there's going to be times when you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
And so then what happens? What do you think happened? Did she have sex with him?
I'd really have to reserve judgment on it. I mean, to really be clinical about it,
Well,
I haven't
Let me
found
just
any.
say this right now. Larry Harnish, the man right here with the glasses. If you will notice the police, because the rest of these people are policemen, they say that she is a prostitute or whatever. Even today, okay, that is what policemen think, or I don't know where they get their stuff. This man, though, reserves the right to give her a little bit of dignity, even X amount of years later, to where he'd say, I cannot say whether she was or wasn't. I just wanted to bring that up because this guy, he's still alive, obviously. He is pretty amazing. You're gonna hear it's pretty amazing.
Evidence.
Well, you
One
never
way or the
are.
other.
You're never going to find the evidence.
Is there a differentiation between did she possibly get killed by a trick or by a boyfriend?
She didn't really have a boyfriend per se.
She had boyfriends.
Yeah. These were like.
We're almost back to tricks. We're in
Well, I'm
between.
being nice. I'm saying
tricks and-
boyfriends.
Yeah, exactly. We're between tricks and boyfriends. So what didn't she have?
Yeah, see, this is the way we would kick it around today if we had
Today
that
we would
homicide
do this.
today. We
Yeah.
would sit around.
We
and
beat her
would-
up today.
and we would say, come on. Her mother would tell us, hey, you know what? She went
Never,
out every
yeah,
night
never.
with a different guy, but she never had sex with him
Right.
because I know she wouldn't do
Because she
it.
said she did.
And we'd say, fine. And then we would go on to reality.
Mhm.
Okay. And reality tells us that if a girl today or 50 years ago is out on the street, going out, getting in a car or doing whatever she's doing with
Needs
this guy,
money badly.
she's
Mhm.
doing this for a living,
Yeah.
basically.
Going out
right?
with different guys every night.
I mean, she has no job,
Right,
right?
yeah.
This is how she makes her living,
Right.
getting the money from these guys. I guarantee you, there's not too many guys out there before she runs into somebody that's going to say, hey, I am not giving you $5 or $500 or $50 or whatever it is unless we get it on.
Yeah.
And then she says no, and he kills her. Boom. She's a dead whore.
Yeah.
Nick.
Right.
This one, I've just got to sit in there.
Hey.
Sit down. Have a chair.
Nick, no.
Why are you limping, Nick?
Pulled a nerve in the leg.
Hold on, let me get past that. Hold on.
And then I had those. Yes.
And journalist friends,
Is that an
and we're
oxymoron?
going through an endless fucking recitation on the Black Dahlia murder case. Larry Harnish.
You
But
said
Larry,
you wanted to hear it all.
no, Larry. No, Larry has probably solved the Black Dahlia murder case. Larry is the.
We won't.
Yeah, these guys are
We
tormenting
refuse
him
to let him.
Yeah. because they are empiricists,
Right.
and these guys who are half of them are half lit are
Hey.
are interested in deconstructing Larry's theory
That's
and going at it with
subjective
established
term.
police methods, step by step.
Oh shit! All right, hold on.
Yeah, 4980 Beverly Boulevard. This place right here.
All right, hold on.
Act ups are all. We got kicked the rug.
Oh shit!
She had.
There you go.
Okay. Now the body is very been uniquely carved. First of all, it's cut in half. She had a tattoo on her leg that has been going to be a little evasive. It has been cut out of her leg, and
When the body was found, it had
yeah.
been removed.
it had been
So the
removed.
guy took souvenirs.
And let me
Yeah.
finish.
She said, let me finish.
I will phrase it as the newspaper did of the day. It was recovered during her autopsy.
In other words, he cut it off of her thigh and stuck it in her vagina.
Yeah,
Mr.
sure.
Hopkins
No.
Yeah.
did a movie along these lines.
Where did he put it? It's not found on the body.
No, it is found on the body. It's just not in the vagina.
Where?
In the mouth.
It's in her ear.
No. Keep guessing.
In
The
throat.
rectum.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
Okay, I won't
Okay.
tell you.
What is the cause of
She
death?
choked on her own blood.
Is that it? Oh,
Huh.
okay, asphyxiation. Okay.
That's what they think it was.
So
Okay.
she was.
But there's no ligatures, no beatings.
Anything
no,
other than the cut marks?
There was
Oh, she did get a beating.
There were stab wounds
On the back?
to the
Are
head.
they poked
To
No, the head.
Beating to
Like
the head,
hit,
yeah.
yeah, she was hitting the head. Part of one breast was removed.
Mhm.
What part?
No.
Up here, not the
Okay,
nipple, but like over,
okay,
just
I'm
a.
curious, trying to get a picture.
And then probably the most unique thing was her mouth was cut ear like this, and like
Both sides.
like that, both sides.
Both
Like
cheeks
a
all the way
Yeah,
up.
all the
Like
way
a
up.
smile.
Exactly,
Like
like a smile.
Smile this.
Body is
Laugh at this bitch.
washed clean, drained of blood, completely drained of blood. When the investigators get there, they find like one drop of blood on the sidewalk. It's clearly done by somebody who knew exactly what they're doing, how to cut somebody in half.
Is it-
There was
is
no
that-
hacking.
Is that
no
Oh, a
the-
magician.
You know,
They think it was
Okay.
with a big knife, and he went right between, I forget which vertebrae it was, but he went right between the vertebrae. The guy who used to be head of the LAPD crime lab was Ray Pinker. He's dead.
Mhm.
But I interviewed his wife or his widow, and she said, Ray always said it was a clean professional job.
Is
Whoever
that
did
right?
it knew exactly what he was doing.
Maybe a doctor with some medical background.
Well, we're right on the
Oh,
cusp.
yeah.
That's
We
where
are right. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
right on the
You're
cusp.
holding back from
of
us, sir.
part
I know
two.
you are.
Two
Okay.
second intermission. We are right on the cusp of part two,
Mhm.
which is Larry's suspect and how Larry put it together and how his theory conforms to everything that we know about the case and specifically answers the
Cool.
question, which is why did this motherfucker dump
Yeah.
the two parts of Elizabeth Short,
I love
specifically
Jim.
at
Boy,
39th
he's
and
so
Norton?
raw.
Back to you, Larry Harnish.
Let's forget Elizabeth Short. Let's just leave her lying there
In two pieces.
for a minute. Let's go back to her older sister. Remember Virginia?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go back to 1945. When I started doing research on this story, people started sending me things. So this box of stuff shows up on my doorstep one day. And one of the things in there is the marriage certificate of Virginia Short and Adrian West. I decided to go find the house where they got married. And I'm looking at the marriage certificate. And down at the bottom, not up top, but down at the bottom where we've got the address of where they got married, one of the witnesses is signed. It's real hard to read what it is. It says Barbara Lindgren and hard to read, Norton Avenue. Now, I should tell you, I've talked to a guy, John Douglas. You know who John Douglas is?
Celebrated FBI profile.
Okay. He's one of the people, everybody has a different opinion about John Douglas, but he said there's something about that neighborhood. He said, you got a killer who's got a car. Anytime you got a killer with a car, he's making a decision why he decides to leave the body there and not somewhere else. He said he could have been, in 15 minutes, he could have been in the mountains. He could have been in the desert. He could have been in the ocean. Nobody would ever found her. But he didn't do that. He goes to a residential neighborhood, even though this entire block is vacant. It's right off of Crenshaw. There's houses one block south of there. There's houses one block north of there. He said, it's not a good spot to leave a body. You're going to get your ass caught. So the question is, what is it about this neighborhood? So I'm looking at the marriage certificate. Son of a gun, Norton Avenue. Not just Norton Avenue, but 3959 South Norton Avenue. That is one block from the crime scene.
One
Bingo.
block.
So now you've got something totally different. You've got Elizabeth Short is lying in the 3800 block. You've got the sister knows somebody a block away.
Goodness.
That's too good not to follow.
Never reported in any of the Black Dahlia literature.
Nobody.
Ever.
Is that right?
Ever.
Yeah, and I don't
Completely
think the original.
unreported.
Janice Knowlton.
I go to the Hall of Records down in the basement, the big books with the. Go back and find out who owned the property in 1947. This address, and long story short, it's a woman named Ruth Bailey, Bayley. Okay.
With the baby.
Go back to the Times Clip files and look up Ruth Bailey. And what do we find? Ruth Bailey is the wife. Ruth Bailey, first of all, is the mother of the gal who signed the marriage certificate as the witness. Ruth Bailey is married to not only a doctor, but a surgeon.
You're talking
His name's-
clean cut.
You're talking to a guy. You're talking about a guy named Walter Bailey, former chief of staff at County Hospital, on the staff of USC Medical School. But Walter, his life is unraveling. Okay, Walter's life is unraveling. He's got, we would recognize it today as Alzheimer's. He's not all there.
Yeah.
And he dies, as it turns out, in 1948, not quite a year after the Black Dahlia case.
Did he leave a note saying, "I wish I wouldn't have done that" or anything
Well,
like that?
Or I
It's
wish I could
interesting.
remember what I did.
Something nice.
I'll let Larry go more into his medical condition.
Yeah, he had a thing with, it's called encephalomalacia, where it's it's actually a softening of the brain tissue.
The brain condition that Dr. Bailey had
Right.
was known to produce homicidal behavior in normally passive individuals.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys on
Lots.
the side have that.
Yeah.
You got that
that's
also,
it.
right?
You can get over it with
How'd
little Jack
you find
Daniels.
that out?
Yeah.
Well, it's on his death certificate. Yeah,
Let me ask you this: Virginia, the sister,
yeah.
is she
Seminole
ever
Wilds.
interviewed? I assume she must have been.
She was interviewed
because
It's
the
a
first
very-
thing as a detective, you're going to say, "Who do you know that she knew in the LA area?"
Virginia Short or Adrian West
Yeah,
told
right.
Sister Betty, if you're ever down and out in LA, if you ever need a helping hand, call Dr. Bailey.
Of course, yeah.
He's the guy.
That's
Also, something very interesting here. Larry interviewed Barbara Lindgren on the wedding certificate and questioned her about her time, referential to the time frame of the Dahlia death. And she disingenuously contended that she didn't recall it when it happened a block from the family homestead.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's
when I
weird
talked
me.
to her. This is what I said. Because I was talking about the church activities, and did you know you were at the wedding with these people. I said, did you know that this lady's younger sister was found killed a block from your house? Nope.
Oh, no.
Nope. Mother never mentioned it.
And the most celebrated unsolved homicide
Of-
in
Yeah,
American
that's
history.
And she never heard of it.
Yeah.
No, it couldn't have been there.
A block from the family
The
path.
reason we know about Walter at all is because after he died, his widow sued his girlfriend
Okay.
over his estate. What happened with Walter is Walter had originally befriended a nurse
That devil.
who was from Vienna. It was graduate of the University of Medical School. Had come to the U.S. as an emigre.
You know those Viennese.
Worked as a nurse, and then became a partner in his practice. Originally started, they just befriended him, and later on, she became a partner in his
Wow.
practice.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a doctor.
All right, so I read that she was a doctor in Vienna, but when she came over here, she was not considered a doctor because she didn't get a degree here for that. But she did partner with him in this practice, and she was pretty good. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's a doc- she's
then
another
she's a
surgeon.
doctor.
Yeah.
She's another surgeon,
Oh, my God.
and the kind of practice
Maybe she did it.
Maybe she knows.
Walter Bailey does is he does mastectomies, hysterectomies, and the surgical removal of fat
okay.
before liposuction. They would go in. That's what he was
In
doing.
1947.
47.
Well, that's-
47.
They were doing it earlier than that. He had walked out on the wife and family for the girlfriend in October of 46.
Yeah, that's wild.
And
46.
October of 46,
Okay.
right before.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
3 months away.
Yeah. As I said, died in January of 48. The girlfriend and the wife start this lawsuit. And what the wife says in the lawsuit over his estate is that he had a secret. And the girlfriend had learned this secret. And he had lived in terror that she was going to
Isn't that interesting?
reveal it because it would ruin him. And every time he wanted to return to his family, she would bring up this secret.
Where's he living?
I've spent a lot of time trying to find out where he was living. Every address
Nobody
he ever
knows.
used for everything was right down the street. There was a medical office down here. I found his receptionist. I talked to her. She's the one who told me that what he and his girlfriend used to like to do of an evening is they were in the professional building, which was down here on 6th Street. And there was a restaurant on the first floor. And it was dry cleaners restaurant, that kind of thing. They would have their dinner sent up. And he had a movie projector and a screen. And they would put on classical music and they would eat dinner, and they would watch movies of surgery.
Well, sure.
That was their entertainment.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was of an evening.
It's a great.
That's what
Really?
The doctor and his doctor girlfriend, the Viennese woman, for kicks, used to get bombed together, watch autopsy films while they
That's-
blasted off
that's
on
not-
classical music.
That's strange. That's strange.
Oh
Yeah.
Is that strange or what?
Yeah, well, too, I don't know, because it was drained of blood. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's. I forgot about that. I'm sorry. Oh shit.
that
I'm so
there was a lot
sorry.
of personal
I
anger
forgot
directed at her.
Sure.
And this
forgot
was,
about that.
she
I'm
said
so
something.
sorry.
She said no.
See, that's the important thing.
She said something.
Personal.
She
Well, you
laughed.
said-
She said
you
she
said-
made fun of him, or she laughed
Yeah,
at him,
well,
or
you said
something.
you said she was
Yeah.
a prick
It was
teaser,
personal.
basically,
Yeah.
right?
It
Yeah,
was personal.
it was personal.
The important thing here is
Yeah.
it was personal.
If you got this kind of anger, it isn't just, no, I'm not going to sleep with you. This is something deeper.
Sure.
This is something that's really got to keep the way it was explained to me, that to keep the rage going long enough to cut her in
he's
half, to
going to
mutilate her.
give you
You know, you
why
got to do it
this
as
man was enraged.
apparently you have to drain the blood from somebody as soon as they're killed. It's like dressing beef or game where you got to do it right away. But to the time that it takes, you've got to keep the anger going. So it's like, okay, what could it be? What could it be? You look at a guy like this and you say, okay, here's a doctor. He's gone to medical school. His oath is to save lives. If this is the guy, what could possibly make a human being do this? Well, what do we know about Elizabeth Short? How did she get money? She had a sob story. Okay. This is how her sob story went. Well, the truth was her fiance was killed in the war. That was true. He killed himself, but he got promoted to husband got killed in the war.
Oh, cool.
But there were a lot of women whose husbands got killed in the war. So the story gets better. They had a kid that she had to give up. And in the final version of this sob story that she would tell people, her husband was killed in the war. They had a son who died. So what do we know about Walter Bailey? One thing we know about Walter Bailey is he had a son named Walter. Okay. What we know about Walter is that he was killed in a car accident down on Vermont, where they used to live, down around 43rd. He was riding his bicycle. The Baileys actually adopted two girls. The one who signed the wedding certificate was the younger one. There was an older girl. In about 1920, she was about 2 years old. What happened was this little girl was out on the street corner, wanted to cross the street. There was traffic. So this boy, 11 years old, Walter Jr., rides his bicycle over to lead her across the street, run over by a truck, and killed. They take him to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Okay. Now, Walter Bailey is a surgeon. Where is he? He's in surgery. So he's doing his operation. His beloved son, and he really was, in the interviews later on, this was the center of his life, is dead, been killed in a car accident. He's in the operating room. They don't tell him.
Oh, cool.
They don't tell him because he's in the middle of an operation. They can't tell him. He wraps it up. The operation's a success. He comes out of the operating room. Boom, your son is dead. He's devastated. As a matter of fact, when you talk to Bailey,
Yeah,
who I have to say are not real crazy about my theory. As you can imagine, they still have
What?
they still have the dead son stuff. This is from 1920. They still have it. And so what I think, if there was one thing that was going to send Walter Bailey off, it was, here was this guy who's devastated about the death of his son. You got Elizabeth Short with her song and dance to get money, the dead son. But Walter Bailey, unlike every other pigeon, is a doctor. He's going to ask her, oh,
How did he die?
yeah, how did he
What
die,
happened?
or what happened,
What
or
happened?
about her pregnancy, or
Yes,
something like that.
of course.
When did he take his first step?
Yeah.
He figures it out,
She gives
And
him a bullshit story,
right?
and he goes, "You know what? This isn't a story.
It's a leap.
Yeah.
See how
This
much
isn't
anger
real.
he's got.
My
he
story is
blows.
real. Her story is
Okay,
not
Let me
real."
see.
Let me just
And the other thing
stop
is-
it right there. I'm going to stop it right there. And let me put myself back over here. Hold on. Let me put myself back over here. And let's put this back up. We do that. All right. Okay. I got it in one more video. Now he goes, I mean, it's pretty. The guy makes a great point. All right. For this Walter Bailey. I don't know, however, would Walter Bailey have sent the newspaper, the Black Dahlia Avenger, would he go to all that trouble as a doctor if he was enraged this much? This girl was killed because of rage, okay, against her or someone else. I don't know. But it's like he said, you have to keep stoking that anger. So there's more that, you can watch this whole thing. Let's get to Hodel. George Hodel. Oh, George Hodel. So we're going at this 2 hours now, but so Dr. George Hodel was a surgeon. He was also a doctor, obviously. He became the venereal disease physician, basically, of Los Angeles, where he mapped it all out and all this. So we know that George Hodel was also a class 1 idiot from hell who raped his own daughter, Tamar, from her 12, she was about 12 to about 14. Dr. Hodel would have sex parties in this beautiful home in the Hollywood Hills. And there was a secret passage and all this great stuff. And 3 people came forward after Tamar ran away from the home and told the police what he did to her. This went into a trial. 3 people said that they had absolutely seen him do this to his daughter, and he was found, he was acquitted of it in about 1950. So now listen, his son, Steve Hodel, who was a detective with the LA, county, when his father died, and I think 1999, I'm not sure. It's written down here somewhere. But what his dad ended up doing when he was acquitted was he and his wife moved to the Philippines, and he stayed there for about 40 years, and then he came back over and he lived in San Francisco, upon which he died. Now, Dr. Hodel had several children. All right. But Steve Hodel, the detective, took care of his stuff in his death. This is the small photo album that Steve Hodel has hung every single bit of this. It's these 2 photographs, which Steve Hodel, it says, are absolutely Elizabeth Short. These things don't look nothing like Elizabeth to me. I might be wrong, but to me, it does not look anything like her, either one. And we'll just go see. These are all of the books that Steve Hodel has written about his father. If you notice, there is the Black Dahlia Avenger 1, there is 2, and there is 3. And then we go to the most evil, and then he switches off to portraits of his father. So Steve Hodel has hung a lot of, everything on the 2 photographs, being her. Oh my God, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, get off there. This is Sowen House. This is the home that Frank Lloyd Wright designed. This is the one that his dad bought. It is odd, but it is gorgeous. And we'll go, here's the front of it. And then we go, here's actually Dr. Hodel in there in his office in there. All right, so here's another photograph of her. Is that too big? Hold on, let me move my banner. Nope, not that one. Shit, no. All right, this is the one. This is one of them. I do not see it. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't see it. All right, here's the 2. Okay, I got the 2 there again. And then we have her, and then we have this one. This girl on the right, to me, does not in any way look like Elizabeth Short, who was on the left. The nose isn't right. The eyes aren't right. The lips aren't right. The chin is not right. Elizabeth Short has got a long chin, and this woman does not. The eyes are not right. The nose is not right. I just don't see it. But I mean, again, it's easy for me to say. Let's go. Here's number 2. The reason I chose this photograph to match her up with is because Elizabeth does not have a lot of makeup on in this. Obviously, I don't think she has any makeup on. And so we're seeing the eyebrows, we're seeing the nose, the lips, the hair. I just don't see that it is her. But if it is, I mean, I will when they find out, hopefully. But new to your channel, there's a similar murder. Oh, really? Jenny, well, welcome to the channel and thank you for that. Yeah, the eyebrows are different. So my question is, if these 2 women, right? If these women are not Elizabeth Short, and Steve Hodel based his entire theory that his father murdered her on these 2 photos, and they're not her, how did he end up? Okay, all right, so he's wrong. He's wrong about these 2 photos. How did he come to the conclusion that his father was the murderer if these aren't Elizabeth Short? You got what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't. So you got the pictures wrong, but you ended up getting the murders right. Because if you read the Black Dahlia Avenger 1, which I did, and I'm telling you, I suggest you read it. I will not ever read 2 or 3. I don't need to. And you saw James Elroy in this, with Larry Hamish. Now, you saw James Elroy believed that Mr. Hamish had the right guy. Well, now James Elroy thinks that Steve Hodel has got the right guy. So, I don't know, because now Steve Hodel has said that his father killed 50 women. One of them, he said, was James Elroy's mother. Her murder has never been solved. He has also put that he killed about 1 woman a year for 50 years. Yeah. Okay. No, I don't think so. But, all right, let's see what I got next going on here. Okay, this is Dr. DeRiver. That's the one that I told you that was the psychiatrist for the Los Angeles Police Department and who completely dropped the ball if Leslie Dillon was the murderer. Here is this is from the news, writing to somebody else, basically saying that this guy, Leslie Dillon, is being looked at as the murderer. This is Leslie Dillon. I have bought Steve's story. Exactly, Jenny, exactly. But damn, he has added so many murders and so many. I can't. And this is today and that day, today and back and forth. Okay, so there we go. Yeah. All right, I am going to, let me see. I've got one more screen here that I need to share. Let me knock this off. All right, please share screen. This is actually from Steve Hodel's YouTube page, and it is it was a victory, in the end of World War II, and how we were running around kissing each other, and there quite possibly is a piece of footage that actually has Elizabeth Short in it. So let's look at it.
DJ Day. Revelers pour down Hollywood Boulevard. Girls lean in their cars. Soldiers and sailors run up and grab kisses.
Okay.
There's a pretty dark-haired girl caught in close.
They say that's her.
It's Betty Short.
I think it is her.
She's young. She's vibrant. She lives.
Okay. So, to me, 100% her. Shit. I'll remove myself. All right. Oh, hold on. Okay. It does look like her. So, it could be so many people. I mean, I'm talking about the murder. And I think that was actually, yes, Elizabeth Short. So it's weird seeing her alive because she has just been, oh, thank you. You know, again, she was a kid trying to make it. Didn't have any idea how she was going to do it. I had to tell one story to get, like Mr. Hamish said, a lot of women were widows. So she had to throw on the dead child. And, perhaps Walter Bailey just said, oh, I don't think so. So, I don't know what the opinion is of other people. I don't have an opinion. I thought I did, but I don't think I do. What I would tell you to do is, if you are interested in this, get one of these books and start, go get it on Amazon used. Okay. That's where I get my books. I get them used. And, I'm not paying full price. And then I just read them. And, oh, thank you, Aunt Kathy. So that's where we are. I don't know who did it. I gave you the possibilities and I gave you most of these suspects. I couldn't, like I said, I thought last night, I'm like, oh, thank you, Eva. I love you right back. I couldn't get into every single, I will. No, listen, I'm gonna get a cheap book. I couldn't lay down every single piece of evidence why somebody, because I'd be here all day. I had to read this whole book to get, points. So, read one of the books, and you will be just as uncertain as I am right now over who did it. So this is, and again, if one of y'all reads the book and you want to revisit this, because a lot of people like this, they like to revisit it, especially when they read another book and they read another book and they read another book. It gets very interesting. Yeah, and want to revisit it, we can. Absolutely. Okay, please do. Because I'm cheap. I ain't trying to go, Plus, with Amazon used, they have the older books, that are there, and they usually, pretty good price. I'm a book girl. I don't want it on a tablet. I want a book. All right, put it over there and be in my book. So we've been going. What is it? 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 12 minutes, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Like I said, don't forget, she was a kid that was trying to make it in this world and got into the wrong person's car or whatever. We're never going to know who did it. I don't think we're ever going to know who did it. That's why I say, I hope when we die, we get, we get to go up there and say, Beth, what happened, honey? What happened? Tell me all about it. That's what James Elroy says he wants to do. Basically, he said he was going to go up there and say, Betty, baby, what happened? Come tell me everything. So, exactly, Hannah Morris. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. Yeah, thrift books I've gone to too. Now, thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. I'm going to end it. We've been going a long time. I usually go this long. But I knew I had a lot of information to give. So I will figure out what we're doing next Saturday, and I will put it on my community post, and I look forward to seeing you. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for the stickers and the super chats. I appreciate them very much. You have no idea. And I will see you next week. I will put it up, who we're going to do next. No, I haven't. I need to. Y'all have a great night too. I'm so glad, Deborah. Look, I'm so glad. Like I said, this is it's drama, but it's we ain't gotta get nothing. Halloween baby, you keep writing that, and I keep taking it upstairs, and I keep don't know what. Let me in a minute. Mary. I'm gonna do it this time. I found it the other day where I written it down. Shit, come on. There we go. Vegan. All right, I'm gonna look at that right now. All right, everybody, be safe, stay warm. I love you all for coming, and thank you, and goodbye. See you next week.